Welcome to Code Academy Unit 1. What we'll be looking at today is under, hopefully you can find this tab, All Courses, and look for language scales, and we'll be doing HTML and CSS. In this video, I'm going to show you Unit 1 and the lessons. You later on will have to do this on your own. The quizzes are locked, so don't worry about it. So the HTML basics is divided up into, I believe, almost 14 parts. And if you look down here, if you click on this button at the bottom, there's numbered 1 to 14. So I'm going to be labeling this video basically 1 is here, 2 is here. So you want to pause the video after, for example, if I say 1, and then I say, okay, I'm moving on to 2, you might want to pause the video so that you can come back to here, complete this, moving on to the other one. Now, I'm not going to be completing it in Code Academy because I'm showing you all the answers, and that's kind of ridiculous. I'm going to be showing it to you in Text Wrangler, what you're going to be using eventually to create your own web pages. Okay, now what's important, whoa, what's going on here? Let me do a new one here. So to start off with, when you are into Text Wrangler, and you can't see it, but I got File up here and Save As, and you don't have to know this right now. I was going to change this bottom part to HTML so I can show you how it works on a browser. And this one I'm just going to call Unit 1, and I want to save it on my desktop, and that's fine. All right, so the first part talks about web browsers and what language they understand. Well, one of the languages of many is HTML. So we have to tell the computer or web browser that we are writing in HTML. So every document needs to start off with what kind of document is it. So doc type, so document type, is HTML. Now if I write anything underneath, so for example I can say hello world, press save, and now if I should have my Google, where is it? Here it is. If I go back to my first page and I open up, I go File, Open File, and I go to my desktop. Hopefully I can find where is Unit. There it is, and press Open. There we go. Hello world. Woohoo! I made my first web page. All right, so that's the end of number 1. Going on to number 2. Now, it's because when we're adding more and more things, we kind of that is not always HTML. We want to tell the computer that we're starting our HTML tags from now on. And then we also wanted to tell it that when we're done. So notice the difference. This is the opening tag. This is called an opening tag. This is called a closing tag, meaning anything in between the two needs to be HTML. So now if I put some basic code, for example, I put strong, because that is an HTML code, and I say hello world this time. Okay, and then I close strong, because I don't want it to be bold. Strong is basically bold. And I press save, and I go back to my document over here. If I just press refresh, it should work. There you go. And now it is in bold. And that is the end of number 2. Moving on to number 3. Number 3 is basically what I was talking about, tags, opening tags and closing tags. Okay, it's very important to understand that you need a slash, make sure it's the right direction to have a closing tag, and that you can have things in between tags. So you notice that the strong is between my HTML tag. And we'll be doing a lot of that. So for example, if I put an I here, whoops, and a closing I here, what that means is that hello is still going to be bold, but only the word world is going to be in italics. And let me see if that works or not. There you go. Okay, notice that it's still, world is still in bold, but it's also italics. And that is how tags work. Finishing 3, moving on to 4. Talk about heads, the head of a document and its title. If I go to my Google Chrome, notice these words up here, HTML basics, This one is just called unit.html because he doesn't know what to name it, but we usually name tabs. In order to do that, what we do is above the HTML, I believe. No, I'm sorry. In the HTML, I start off with head, and I'll push enter a few times just to keep it clean. Close my head. So now I'm talking, the computer now knows I'm talking about the tab at the top. And I want to add a title. So title. And this time I can say, for example, Farouk Unit 1. And I'm going to close the title. All right. And then I still have, and then because I've closed my head, the strong will should still show up where I want it. This is the basic framework of every single web page. When you start working on your own web pages out of Codecademy, I should be able to see all of these things. This is a great thing to write down somewhere in a Google Doc for a later use. So now if I go back to here and I press refresh, did I save it? No, probably not. So I'm gonna go back here, save, go back here, refresh. Notice up here, all thing that's changed was says now Farouk Unit 1. And that is the end of that one. And moving on to number 5. For a great tag that tells the computer basically what we want to show up between this top bar here and the bottom. So to really emphasize that to the computer, we type in body, open body, and right before the closing HTML tag, we have a close body. And now the computer knows that anything between these two body tags has to show up in this area. Very important. And so then now, if I want to organize it, so I got my title, I can also introduce another tag, which is very important, which is a paragraph tag. A paragraph tag basically lets us add spaces between texts. So for example, if I say, you know, Farouk here, and then I add another paragraph here, okay, lives in Mexico, and then close it off. What that does, look what happens. If I refresh it, it makes automatic spaces both before and after the text. Okay, I mean, it doesn't really matter how many times I push enter here. If I type something here and I type something here again, okay, and I press save, look what happens. Okay, it's all on one line. The computer does not understand, okay, the enter between here and here, but it does understand that you want a space between the lines if you put in paragraphs. And that's the end of that one. So number 6, we talk about headings. So for example, if I don't always want to use the word strong and stuff, what I can do is if I want a really big heading with space, I can use something called H1. And I'm going to delete these I tags, I don't need it. Okay, and I'm going to close my H1. And whoops, 1. And if I press save, look what it does. It basically, okay, adds some more space and it knows it's a heading. All right, so that's a pretty easy one that you can quickly do. And I'll move on to the next one. You guessed, for number 7, there's different types of H. Okay, now, I mean, H can be in small, doesn't have to be capitalized. So, example, if I want a smaller heading, so you saw the size of heading 1 was relatively big, okay? If I do H3, okay, and I say hello North America, for example, and close my H3, all right, and save it, it will make it smaller. And it goes all the way down to, I believe, H6 or H5. I'll tell you in Codecademy exactly how far down it goes. So that's a great way to select different, basically, font sizes with headings. Number 8 is just more practice with headings, so it's really not much to say. It just wants you to use every single heading from H1 down to H6. Number 9 is just a mid-lesson break, just some basic instructions on Codecademy, which I'm not going to read to you right now. Just do what it says and you can move on to number 10. Okay, 10's a bit more tricky. It's talking about links. Links are extremely important, as you know, on websites. So how do you make a link? Well, you start off with a code called A. Now A is a link, but we also have to tell the computer where we want it to go. So href equals, what happened? Equals, and then we have to tell it where we want it to go. Now you want the full address. So the best thing to do, for example, if I want to use Google, is to go to the actual web page, and I don't want all this other stuff. HTTPS, so HTTP needs to be included. So if I go back to here and I paste it and close my quotation marks. So this is telling the computer right now, nothing's going to show up on the web page. All it's saying is that my link is going to refer, okay, the reference is to this website. Now all I can type is whatever word I want in the middle. So for example, go to Google, okay? And that's going to close the A tag, because remember, this is an A tag, okay, for link. So that's saying, okay, that these words will be a link to this web page. So I press save and I go back to here and I refresh. Here it is, it's underlined. You can tell, and my mouse changes, right? And I click on it and it's going to take me to Google. All right? That is how links work. Good luck, and then move on to the next one. Now Codecademy wants you to add an image. So to do that, first we've got to find an image we can use. So for example, I type in here airplanes. I'm going to go to images. To be safe, I'm going to go to search tools, usage rights, and I'm going to make sure that it's just labeled for reuse or whatever one that makes most sense. Reuse is fine. So it's going to change. All right, so there's the picture. This one's fine. I'm going to use this picture. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say copy link address. Okay, or actually what's probably better, not link, my bad. Copy image address. So I'm going to copy the image address and I'm going to go back here. So for an image, it's img src, which stands for source, just like my link at the top with Google here. Okay, I'm going to paste. Whoa, hold on. I have to go back to here. I'm going to right click, copy image address, paste. Okay, and it should make sense because it should end with a .jpeg or .png or something. Okay, close my brackets, my quotation marks. Okay, and in this case, which is great, unlike other tags, you only have to do /close. Okay, because we're not really going to have anything in between text-wise, right? We're just going to have the image. So if I press save, and let's see if it recognizes the image. There it is. Okay, it's a huge image. We'll learn later on how to affect the size of the image on our web page. But that is how you add an image. Good luck. Now you've probably been to websites where an image is clickable. So to do that, we have to combine these two. All right, so how would I do that? Well, I'm going to start off my link. Okay, I'm going to take it to HTTPS. You know what? I'm just going to copy that to make my life easier. So I'm going to go to Google as well. Okay, and now, but I don't want text to show up. Okay, I want an image to show up. So what if I do? If I take this thing which we've already made, this image, and I place it in between my opening link and my closing link tag, now this image should be clickable and go to Google. So let's have a look. So if I refresh this, I already have that first image. Here's my second image, but look at the mouse difference. Here, my mouse is just an arrow. Here's now a hand. If I click on it, it'll take me to where I told it to. So that's pretty much the most complicated part of Unit 1. The rest of the steps, 13 and 14, you can do on your own, and then move on to the extra assignment in Codecademy if you don't remember what that was. If you go back to here, it was the build your own web page. Once you've completed that, okay, show me, and then we'll be moving on to the next thing. Good luck.